Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm just gonna wait a minute just to make sure I give Facebook a chance to let you know I'm live, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I'm super excited to be here with you today. I know it's Friday afternoon. Y'all might be on your way home, but I just want to share a couple of things that I think can help all of us in our hair growth journey. So, if you are new to our page, I'm Brandon Green. I'm the founder of Voice of Hair, and I'm just coming live with a couple of tips tonight. So, if you are able and you're not driving, I want you to do me a big favor and just go ahead and in the comments and let me know where you're tuning in from. Today, I'm just going to be talking about reasons for slow hair growth and what you can do about it. And this has been a question that I've seen a lot, like in our comments, but also in email. And so I just wanted to talk about why your hair may be growing at a slower rate than you want to, but also what you can do about it. So in the meantime, hello, I see you joining. Thanks for joining. And just let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. I'm Brandolyn. I'm the founder of Voice of Hair. I am the creator of our Pure Fix Hair Elixir. We have other products. We have sold to over 50,000 people in about 50 countries around the world. If you're new, and we also are just really into helping you find amazing hairstyles as well as great products. So that's what I'm here for. Excited to be with y'all, and I'm in Austin. So let me know where you're watching, and if you're also watching this on the replay, just go ahead and let me know that it's replay, and I can come back and answer your questions. But let me just start by quickly saying that before we get into it, we are giving away a free bottle of our hair gummies. So if you don't take vitamins or supplements for your hair, and you get everything, you feel like your hair isn't where it needs to be, you might just need a supplement. And I'm gonna talk to you about that. But we have a sale going on. I have it listed in the description, where if you buy our Nourish and Grow bundle, you'll get a free bottle. So $30 savings, but they taste really good and it can help you along your hair journey. So let's talk quickly about reasons why your hair isn't growing. And also, please like and share if you know other people who might be struggling in their journey. I just want people to know what's going on and what they can do about it. So to start, I think a lot of us know that our hair has three phases: a growth phase, a transitioning phase, and a resting phase. So that's typical for everybody, no matter your ethnicity or your background. Hey, Sharonda, thanks for joining us from Detroit. I see you, Stacy and Trinidad. Thank you for watching. Listen, but and I see you, Amy, thanks for watching. If you are wondering, well, why is my hair growing at such a slow pace? Actually, about 90% of your hair is in the growth phase at any given time, and that growth phase lasts a pretty good amount of time. It lasts for about 2 to 7 years. So that means, like, any hair on your head, 90% of the hairs on your head can grow for 2 to 7 years. The problem is a lot of us are experiencing issues that are stopping that hair from reaching its maximum length. So there is a such thing called terminal hair length. I don't know if you've heard of it. If you have, let me know. If you've like ever. Oh, audio is low. You can't hear me. Oh, you know what? You guys, I'm gonna end this live, and I'm gonna go get my AirPods because I don't have them. I'll get them out of my purse. If you want to hang tight, I got them. Just 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Let me know if you can hear me now. If you can hear me now, just do me a favor and tell me. Let me put both these. If you hear me, let me know if the audio is better. Okay, so listen. What I was trying to say is our hair has 3 stages to growth. There's 3 stages to the hair growth cycle. There's the growth phase, which is the anagen phase, the catagen phase, which is the transitioning phase, and then the telogen phase, which is the resting phase. And that's when your hair starts to come out. And most people are like, oh my God, my hair must be all in the resting phase. But really, only 10% of your hair is in that phase at once. Most of the time, most of our hair is in that growth phase, but we're doing something to stop it from reaching its maximum length. Okay, good. Thank you, Florine. I really appreciate it. So, your hair on average grows about a half an inch a month. So that means, like, in a year, your hair can grow 6 inches. Problem is, what are we doing to stopping that growth? That's what we're going to talk about in a second. So let me just start to go over about 5 reasons why your hair isn't reaching its maximum length, because it's not, a lot of us aren't experiencing hair growth to that terminal length. And what I was trying to say with that before, terminal hair length means it's the longest that your hair will grow before it just stops and it ends that growth that anagen phase. So for some people, their hair can grow like literally 2 years nonstop, and then that's it. And then new hair is going to start, and old hair is going to start to shed. But for other people, and this all depends on like genetics and your makeup, some people might experience hair growth for 7 years, and that's why it's really difficult to compare your exact journey to someone else, because we all have different makeups. But what we all can do is you can experience consistent hair growth, but many of us are doing these 5 things that is stopping our hair from growing. So number one, the first thing that a lot of us are doing that's really hurting our hair growth is being inconsistent in our hair regimens. And I see this a lot. Like I tell, people, if you're a customer, if you've tried our hair elixir, it's natural. It's got 25 plus natural ingredients, but if you don't use it on a consistent basis, you might not see results. And so sometimes we only look at hair growth and we'll use something for like a week and we're like, that didn't work. We'll use it for like 2 or 3 weeks. But let me tell you about this one study. So scientists did a study with, I hate these AirPods. They're always coming out of my ears. The scientists did a study with mice, and they took 2 groups of mice, and on one of those groups of mice, they used minoxidil, jojoba oil, and a saline solution. They mixed it up and they added it to the mice's hair. On the other group of mice, they literally just used peppermint oil on that mice's hair. And their goal was to see which set of mice would have the most amount of growth in their hair. And what they found after 24 weeks, the mice that only was treated with the peppermint oil had the fullest and the longest hair. So why am I telling you this? Because the scientists did this experiment over 24 weeks. But what happened is, it was great results. Minoxidil, if you're not familiar, is the same active ingredient that's in Rogaine. So, a lot of people use it when they experience hair loss, but it has some, not so good effects to it. One of the problems with minoxidil is that, when you stop using it, a lot of times you will experience hair loss, but it also has other, negative associations. So they used peppermint oil, and these mice had like wonderful growth and fullness, but they did the study for 24 weeks. We sometimes will use a product or a new regimen, or we'll try even like vitamins or something, only for we'll only give it 3 or 4 weeks. We're like, oh, that didn't work. But we just need to be consistent, because with our hair growth cycle, a lot of times our hair just needs more time. So when I talked a little bit about that hair growth process, the active growth phase is between 2 and 7 years. That transitioning phase, when it stops growing, is only a couple weeks, but then that resting phase lasts 2 to 4 months. So sometimes it's not about what you're doing. It's just you're not being consistent and you're not giving it enough time. So that's just the number one thing, the reason why you might be experiencing slower hair growth is you might be using something, but it just may not have had enough time. And also that's why we do have peppermint oil in our hair elixirs, because it's a natural, great ingredient that helps promote stimulation to the blood or to the scalp. Okay, so the number 2 reason why we don't experience consistent hair growth is a lot of us have vitamin deficiencies and we don't even know it. So, a lot of the best way to get vitamins in our body and in our diet is through eating the right foods and fruits and vegetables and all that kind of stuff. And we know this, but with the lifestyle that a lot of us lead, I don't know about you, if you're a mom or you're a parent or you take care of a loved one, you know that sometimes it's just difficult to eat everything the way you should. So, but just not getting any of those key vitamins, and key vitamins including vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin B3, vitamin B12, vitamin D, iron. These are just some of the vitamins that your body needs to make make your hair grow properly and to have enough nutrients for your cells. So if you're not getting some of those vitamins, of course, vitamin E is also one of those as well. Then even if you're low in some of those levels, your hair will not grow at the proper rate. So that's like
the number 2 thing. The number 3 reason why your hair may be growing at a slower pace than you want is because of stress and illness. Now, we don't often want to give any credit to stress when it relates to our hair, and we just think, oh, it must be something else, or maybe, this product isn't working for me. But stress has a huge impact on our overall health as well as on our hair. So, a lot of times when we're stressed, and stress can come from like emotional or physical stress, but a lot of times when we are stressed, it impacts our breathing. We don't get enough oxygen to our heart. We're not getting enough oxygen to our brain and to our cells. And so what happens is, when you have shallow breathing, it impacts your cells. And your body is so smart that it's going to save the oxygen needed for those key bodily functions, like your heart pumping and your lungs operating, and it's not going to send that proper amount of oxygen to those cells so that your hair can grow. So that's just one reason that stress can impact your hair, like on a scientific level. But another way that stress impacts your hair is it pushes more of our hair into the resting phase, or that shedding phase. So if you have experienced the loss of a loved one, if you've gotten a divorce, if you had a bad boss who was stressing you out, like these are all things that can cause stress to your body. And what happens is, after 2 to 3 months, a lot of times our bodies don't even notice that stress, or we won't see it in our hair until 2 to 3 months later. And it's called stress-induced hair loss. And it's a very common thing that a lot of people go through. And they're like, well, I don't know what's happening. Why is my hair not growing, or why is my hair coming out? But it's because maybe you had some stressful event that really impacted you and you just didn't know it. So stress is one thing. Obviously, illness, with COVID, but also things like cancer. If you've had any sort of, illness in your body, of course, that's going to affect your body's ability to make healthy hair. And also certain medications, like, a lot of blood pressure medicine does cause hair to shed, excessively and things like that. So if that's the situation, but you need that medication, definitely talk to your doctor and see if there's alternatives. If not, you want to try some other things that you can do to reduce the stress. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, so that was number 3. And then the 4th reason why you might not have, the hair growth that you want is it's due to your improper styling. So when we add a lot of heat to our hair, whether it's like blow drying, flat ironing, or even chemicals, like maybe you're coloring your hair, relaxing your hair on your own, like all of that can dry the hair out and cause it to break prematurely. Because remember, a lot of our hair is growing, it's just breaking off before it has a chance to grow to its maximum, achievable length. So that's one of the things that impacts most people in our community, especially, it could be something as common as from traction alopecia, from maybe you're wearing braids, or maybe you're wearing wigs and your wig is, rubbing up against certain parts of your hair. These are things that a lot of people, might not realize until it's happening a little bit too late. But that's another reason for slow hair growth. And then, of course, genetics. So, like I said before, some people, their hair is just going to grow at a faster rate, and that's something that they're predisposed to. But for some people, if your genetics may just mean that maybe your hair can only grow for a consistent year before it goes into that resting phase. But still, in a year, you can get 6 inches on average. So that's not necessarily a horrible thing. And then, so those are like 5 reasons why your hair could be growing slow. But let's now talk about like what you can do to make your hair grow faster, because I think that's way more interesting, and I think that's what everybody wants to know. So these are very simple things that we can all do. And if you can't hear me, please just let me know. But the number one thing that we can do, and you can add to your regimen and to your lifestyle, is adding more protein to your diet. So protein, your hair is made up of a protein called keratin. And so when you don't get enough protein, and in fact, in America, a lot of people don't get enough protein, even though you think you do. So, if you're not getting enough protein in your diet, your body can't make enough keratin and your hair won't grow as long. So make sure that you're adding more protein. And if you're wondering like, well, what foods can I add to my diet? Eggs, chicken, if you're, vegan or vegetarian, lentils, edamame. If you do eat meat, adding things like salmon, tuna, and like certain fish like that is really, really good. Also, collagen is super important for hair growth. And one good source of collagen that if you aren't vegetarian, you can like add bone broth to your diet and make sure that you're getting that on a regular basis. Bone broth has really high levels of collagen, which is another type of protein that our hair and body needs to make healthy hair. So that's the number one thing that's easy for most people to do, is just adding more protein to your diet. Now that you know it's something important for your hair, just make it happen. Number two thing you can do is make sure that you're getting enough water. Just like how, when stress, it impacts your breathing, you're not getting enough oxygen to those cells to create healthy hair. Same thing with water. If your body is dehydrated, then your body is going to save the water that you do drink for your vital organs like your heart and your lungs, and it's not going to get to your hair, which means that your hair and your scalp is going to be dehydrated. So it's all bad, and it's all cyclical, but making sure that you're drinking at least half your water, half your weight in ounces. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you need to be drinking at least 100 ounces of water a day, and kind of that's what I mean by it. Number three, make sure that you're adding foods that are super high in vitamins. So I talked about proteins, that's really important, but you want to add colorful foods to your diet. Like I said, sometimes it's real hard. Kale or eating, greens and stuff like that. It might be difficult for you to do on a consistent basis, but that's why if that's the case, like I'm a busy person, and sometimes like I don't eat the right things, but I do make sure that I always take a supplement every day. Like I said before, we are giving a free bottle away with the purchase of our Nourish and Grow bundle, which is our shampoo, conditioner, oil, leave-in. So we are giving these away because you do need to have the right diet and the right vitamins. These vitamins actually have vitamin A, C, D, E, and vitamin D is actually linked to alopecia. So these are things that we all need for our bodies and our hair, and especially if you're not getting them in your diet, you need to take a supplement. Number four thing that you want to do is you want to work on preventing damage. Oh yes, I do. Some people said they couldn't hear me without the headphones, so I put my headphones back in, and they're kind of popping out. But the number four thing to make sure that your hair is growing and you're reaching that idyllic length is you need to prevent damage to your hair. So we oftentimes experience damage from our styling routines, whether it's improper detangling, maybe you're detangling your hair when it's dry, but maybe you need to add moisture to it. So that's one thing. Or maybe you're wearing, like I was wearing a U-part wig a couple weeks. It was so cute and I loved it, but I was like flat ironing my leave out because I liked the way it looked with the wig, but I realized that I was actually causing a lot of split ends. And so I was really breaking off my hair before getting the chance to reach that length. So reducing damage. And another way, if you do use heat styling tools, not saying heat styling is all bad and you can't press your hair out or blow dry it, but at least make sure that you're using it, limit the usage and use like a heat protectant. Like those are important. And as much as we like a lot of natural oils, heat protectants often have like silicones in it that can, stop some of that heat from drying our hair out. So these are things that, if you're going to use heat, make sure you're using a heat protectant. That's one way to prevent damage. And then also if you are using color, color is a really big way where a lot of people, their hair gets over processed, especially if you're doing it on your own. So try to go to your stylist or, make an effort to go to a professional so that you don't mess your hair up. So that's number four. The number five thing you can do also is getting trimmed regularly. So I know that a lot of, especially my natural sisters, do not, believe in like trimming their hair regularly. But if you're doing a lot of manipulation to your hair, if you're constantly, twisting it and bantu knotting it, all those things, even if you're natural, it still can affect your hair and cause it to break. Because remember, split ends breaking up the hair shaft is going to eventually make that one follicle, that one piece of hair cuticle like split, and then it's going to start looking real jagged and it won't look full, and then you'll see breakage. So if you really want to achieve that goal length, you do want to get trims. And people say, well, how often should I get a trim? It might depend on how you wear your hair, but if you're doing a lot of heat styling or manipulation, every 6 to 8 weeks. So like every 2 months, making sure you're checking in, getting rid of those split ends, and then you can keep your hair as much as possible. But trimming your hair doesn't make it grow faster, it just stops the breakage, and that's my point. So getting trimmed regularly. And then if you're like a person who only does wash and goes, still, the environment, the UV rays, there are a lot of things. Sometimes even your coat rubbing up against your hair will cause your hair to start having breakage. So you still want to get your trims maybe quarterly even. So that's number 5 thing that you can do. And then the number 6 thing is you can actually work on lowering your stress. So again, I think so much is going on, especially, like financially. Some people are having a hard time as the effects of COVID, or maybe, you could be out of work or just having issues. Like that stuff takes a toll on you. So you have to be proactive and figure out, like, what can I do to make sure that I'm not experiencing a lot of stress. And so that might mean, for me, one of the things that I have added into my day, and it has totally changed, not only helping my hair, but it's just changed my overall, the way I feel, is doing a meditation in the morning. Like I might pray, I might read my Bible, and then I might, just sit there and like do a quiet meditation, like calming myself. And when I feel like I'm getting stressed or worried or anxious, saying some affirmations, like whatever it is for you, whether it's yoga or breathing techniques, just add it in. And it's not like, this is not some woo-woo stuff, but this is like for real stuff that is not only good for your hair, but it's all good for your overall heart health and body in general. And then the last thing that you can definitely do to help boost hair growth, that I feel like so many people take for granted. And I was talking to one of our customers today. We're going to go live in a couple weeks together, and she actually had cancer and she was using our hair elixir while she was getting chemo and radiation. And she told me that it really helped her hair to grow back. But she said that she was also adding the oil and brushing her hair, and she was massaging her scalp. And so scalp massages are so critical to our hair growth. And a lot of times we overlook it. But especially if you add like, oil like ours that has a lot of natural ingredients that help, stimulate blood flow to the scalp. Scalp massages can really help your hair to grow because it's stimulating the blood flow, which, beneath the follicle, and helping it to open up and make your hair grow. So doing that every day, for 2 to 3 minutes, you will see improvement if you do it consistently. A lot of times we don't, want to stick with it. We might do it for like a week and we forget. But if you maybe make a habit, set a timer, and you do that on a consistent basis, you actually will start to help stimulate more blood flow to the scalp. And more blood flow means, more of your hair will be growing. And that's a super easy thing to do. So those are like my tips for why your hair might have slow growth, and then what you can do for it. And if you're new, or if you're just joining and you kind of joining into the live late, I'll just recap what we talked about. So reasons why you're experiencing slow hair growth. It could be 1, stress and illness, which impact our bodies, but also our hair in a negative way. So we definitely got to get ahead of that. Number 2, vitamin deficiencies. Number 3, another reason for slow hair growth is improper styling and heat tools and just overuse. And then number 4 is inconsistency in our regimen. Again, not, sticking with a product or sticking with the massages for a consistent period of time. That will definitely slow our growth. And then number 5 is genetics. Sometimes it's not that we're necessarily doing something wrong, but maybe your hair has reached its terminal length, and maybe it's, you've done all you can. But a lot of times that's not really the case. I just want you to be aware that genetics does play a role in how long your hair will consistently grow before it reaches that resting phase. So those are like 5 reasons for slow hair growth. But here's the good news. There are things that we can do about it. Number 1, we can add protein to our diet. Remember, I talked about eggs, chicken, lentils, peanut butter, tuna, salmon, things like that. Bone broth also is really great for collagen. Number 2 thing, drinking enough water, and making sure that we're drinking our water, our weight in ounces. So if I weigh, 200 pounds, I need to be drinking 100 ounces of water a day. Number 3, adding foods that are naturally high in vitamins to our diet. So we want to have our plate be colorful, with green, with orange, with red, like making sure that it's not all white or yellow foods. And if you can't do that in your diet, making sure that you are taking a hair supplement. Like I said, we are giving these away free with the purchase of our Nourish and Grow bundle. And then number 4, preventing damage to our hair. So it might mean that, you might need to lay off heat styling for a while and do protective styling. Or it might mean that you need to use heat protectant every time that you decide to blow your hair out. So all of these things are super important, but preventing damage is the number one reason, the number one thing we can do to help our hair get to its maximum hair length. And then number 5 is getting trims regularly. It's super important that we cut off any hair that is starting to split so that it doesn't, break off, because most of the time it's not that our hair is not growing, it's just that our hair is breaking before it's reaching that length that we want. And then number 6 is lowering our stress. It's a huge deal that really impacts your hair. And like I said before, if you are stressed, you're going to often see the impacts of like a high stress event in your hair. It could cause hair loss like 3 months later, and you'll be like, dang, why is my hair not growing, or why is it falling out? It's because you got super stressed a couple months before and you didn't even realize it. So that's the number thing. And then number 7 is doing scalp massages. You don't have to use oil, but when you do use oil, it feels great. And also, if you're using our oil, has a lot of great benefits. But massaging your scalp for 2 to 3 minutes a day is going to stimulate blood flow to those follicles and help that hair to grow. And if you do that on a consistent basis, like set an alarm, you will see great results, especially in the areas, if you're like me, where you've had some traction alopecia, you will definitely see good results that way. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. If it was, please like, share. If you have other questions, please go ahead and just leave them in the comments, and I'll definitely come back and try to answer them. And again, if you are looking for a good hair care solution, we have our shampoo and conditioner is pH balanced so that your hair will be properly clarified and cleansed. But then we add the moisture back with our step 2, and then our step 3 just kind of keeps that moisture in before adding in the oil, because sometimes people are just using oil on their hair and they're like, oh, my hair's so dry. But it's like, well, dang, did you properly moisturize your hair? And so this works well, especially well like if you use the LCO method, which is something that has really helped my hair flourish, meaning that I start with my wet hair, then I do a cream, which is our leave-in cream, and then I follow it up with the oil. But you don't want to add oil to dry hair, because dry hair is going to just continue to be dry and break, and oil doesn't moisturize, it seals in moisture. So anyhow, if you have other questions, let me know. I appreciate y'all joining me on a Friday evening, and I pray that you have a blessed weekend, and take care. All right. Bye-bye.